Okay, greetings everybody. So today's question is about terminology on the mental, astral, physical body. Now, in a lot of traditions, they use the word soul to represent spirit or the immortal part of our being. And Franz Barden uses the word soul to refer to the astral body, which is temporary. After death, the astral body breaks down and gets absorbed, broken apart in the elements and absorbed back into the astral plane. So we're going to go through a little bit of theory on these layers and the relationship. So the mental body, on the upper aspect of the mental body, is consciousness itself. That you're simply conscious and aware. So the part of you that has an awareness environment, awareness of your sensory system, awareness of your feelings, awareness of your thoughts, that's the upper aspect of the mental body. The essence of the mental body, or the monad, the pure spirit, is the universal mind, the mental space underlying all things. So everything has mind substance, and it's a unification matrix, as for lack of a better word. It's the way everything essentially is connecting together to form the universal mind. The universe is mind, and that essence is what links us all together and connects us into this universal field of consciousness. What individualizes us as individuals is our relationship to our experience, the way the mind forms attachments. And in Buddhism, it's called samsara. It's the attachments to the mind which create reincarnation. Okay, so as we move lower down the mental body, we move from the universal fabric through consciousness itself to awareness to the intellect. Now, one's ability to evolve the mind, do mathematical equations on a high level, learn new things, develop, it's the interaction between the lower mental body and the astral body. Our memories are contained in the astral body. So as we are using our intellect, the astral body is being utilized, and the mental matrix is connecting to generate memory. Now, if you dissolve your mental matrix and open and expand, you'll notice you have reduced memory. So that when as your brainwave patterns start dropping through the alpha range down into the theta range, it's hard to access memories. You can test this with the light and sound machine. So you simply put the light sound machine down into the theta range and then try remember stuff, and it's difficult. You put it up into the beta, let's say in the mid to high 20s, and it's very, very easy to remember things. So this relationship between memory and brainwave patterns and the astral body is quite important. Now, as we look into the astral body, our emotional experience starts moving down to the lower aspect of their astral body, and our emotions are what bind memories into our system. So highly emotionally charged memory is easy to access to the point that you can't stop it from arising. So people who have, and this is caused by an electromagnetic charge, a matrix connection, a mental astral matrix connection to the memory. Now, people who have incredibly high memory have a high magnetic quality between the information and consciousness, so it's easy to access. People with photographic memory are magnetically aligned to information so they can access it. People who have a very, very poor memory, their mental matrix is loose, so their consciousness isn't able to remember. And there's a positive and negative to this, in that when the mental matrix is relaxed and open, you're much more sensitive to spiritual phenomena. When it's highly bound, you're less sensitive and you're more connected to astral memories and physical phenomena. So the control of the matrices are essential. Now, let's say we take the situation of a ghost. And a lot of people have experienced and seen ghosts. And in this situation, if a person has a traumatic death and a ghost is formed, the mental matrix doesn't dissolve and let the spirit, the mental body, release and go into the normal reincarnation process. A part of the astral sticks to the mental, so there's these memories, emotions, and it can't move on. And until that mental matrix is dissolved, the ghost is going to continue to be a ghost. So those of you who are transitioning spirits, it's usually a skill of how do you dissolve, release the mental matrix so that that spirit can transition and move on. And we normally use Akasha and light to do that. So those of you who are trained in Akasha, you just increase the Akasha within that matrix and connect the spirit to light, and 3 transformations, and the spirit continues a natural transition from then on. Now, as you move down the astral body, we start moving through all the emotional intensity as we start getting down lower and lower, closer to the physical. Now, our emotions, the intensity of emotion is really about the astral matrix's connection to the physical. The stronger the connection, the stronger the emotion. And it's a water element quality. It's a magnetic quality. So when a person pays attention to a particular emotion over and over, the magnetism increases, and that personality trait comes to the fore, and they express it in their daily life more and more. Now, when we come to the astral matrix and the physical body, the emotions essentially are, as we know, they're chemical. And so you can break down the emotional framework of a person chemically and say, oh, they're just chemicals that the physical body is experiencing as emotions, and when you don't pay any attention to those emotions, your body stops producing that chemistry. So that's true, but there's an astral emanation and connection to this through the astral matrix, which is essential. Without that consciousness being able to move across the mental matrix through the astral and through the astral to the physical, those chemicals wouldn't arise in the first place. So there is an aspect to all this, that the mental, astral, and physical bodies are stuck together, and you can't really have an emotional experience without all 3 binding for the emotion to express itself as a physical thing. Now, when the physical body dies, the astral matrix and the mental matrix neutralize. And the astral body returns to the astral plane and starts decomposing in the astral realm. The astral body decomposes very, very slowly, where the physical body decomposes very fast. And that's due to the time continuum difference in the astral plane. All these different astral emotions have a different time continuum. The higher ones have a slower time continuum, so it takes much longer for them to decompose. With a physical time continuum, it's very fast. So there's different aspects of your astral body which have different decomposition rates after death. The astral body, we normally break the elements down into the concept of fire, air, water, and earth in esoteric psychology, and do a black and white mirror work that way, so we have a framework of understanding. The only true elements are electric and magnetic. Energy is electromagnetic, yin and yang. The motion between them is air element, and the density of the form is considered earth element. So when you're overlaying this energetic principle on, let's say, something like the Taoist philosophy of yin yang and so forth, it fits in seamlessly. When it condenses into earth element and generates form, then that was where the 5-element theory of, let's say, a Taoist model would come into play. The form of the earth element is the 5 elements. So it's basically one energetic octave above in theory. Now, when you take the fire, air, water, and earth elements and you look at it emotionally, that's one octave below. You've taken the elements and you've brought it and personified it astrally. So that starts to become, when you make emotional relationships, very, very similar to the emotional relationships seen within the Taoist 5-element theory. Now, if we were trying to make an analogy between them, your earth element is earth, your water is water, your fire is fire, metal is air. and wood is water and earth coming together to create wood. So that there is a relationship to the elements on the lower astral materializing aspect of it, and you can sort of research that and look into the relationships yourself. Now, the physical body obviously is, as we know, the physical form, and the one thing to look at with the three bodies is they're relatively bound together. They're stuck together. The matrices are like magnets holding the three bodies together. Now, if you damage your mental matrix and the mental body is unable to stick properly to the astral physical body, there'll be a mental disorder there. So in schizophrenic patients, the mental matrix is usually damaged. And the damage could originate from drug abuse, emotional trauma, but ultimately that is expressing itself through the broken mental and astral matrix, and there's a schizophrenic or psychological problem which has arisen. So when you are looking at a person's energetic field, or aura, and they have a mental disability of some type, the place that it appears most obvious is a displacement of some type in the mental astral matrices. And then from there, you follow that displacement into the astral physical structure of the person. Now, you're going to find that as you play with your clairvoyance and your sensitivity to these things, you want to be in a habit of observing the rising and falling wave of your experiences, what you're sensitive to, but not giving it too much weight. The reason why is because we can clairvoyantly, clairaudiently, clairsentiently perfectly translate misinformation, lies. What we're experiencing does not mean it's the truth. It just means it's an information flow we're experiencing. So there's this journey from personal truth to universal truth. So if you, let's say, look at any religious teaching, it starts off with a reflection in personal truth, which has key aspects which move towards universal truth. But people attach to the personified aspect of it rather than the universal aspect, and it gets mistranslated and corrupted. And our sensory system initially is the same. We're assigning universal status to personified perceptions. And you don't want to do that. So whatever arises and falls away within your experiences, just journal them, let them be what they are, recognize that you're on a journey from personal truth to universal truth. And this applies also to your physical experience, your astral intuitive experiences, your mind perceptions, and so forth, all the way up the vibrational scale. If you give this space for no view, that you're not attaching to a view, you're just observing what's rising, falling away, there's space for evolution and growth to take place within the bodies, and for the three bodies to reorganize themselves for ascension to take place. Now, when we put all this into the context of your spiritual work, ascension is basically a synchronicity of the bodies. You're releasing time through the release time practices to work in the astral. You're releasing space to work in the mental, and you're connecting to the release of time and space to get access to this infinity quality to work with the Akasha, so that you can not only own the energies you're interacting with, but release them. Now, a Qigong practitioner practice ownership of what they're experiencing. They're working with Qi. And what this basically does is the law of rhythm says anything you have ownership of, you can release. So this is essential for people involved in spiritual work, because, nibbana is release of attachment, aversion, and delusion. But if you don't own something properly, if your mind can't discern it, adhere to it, apply its will through it, how can you possibly let it go? So with Qigong practices, working with energy work, you move an energy around according to how well you can control energy is how easy it is for you to release it. And this is critical for any ascension-based teaching. Now, this ownership leading to release allows you to not only own energy within yourself and release it, but take control of energy in other people and release it, which makes you a really good healer, which makes you a good teacher, which gives you the potential to help others and benefit others. You've got to remember that when in the Buddha's time, there's stories within the sutras of people going to visit the Buddha and attaining enlightenment. That he simply controlled the space that the person stepped into and took them into Nibbana. So just his presence was enough to give people Nibbana. So this ownership of energy allows you to change energy within yourself and within others, and within the space that you practice. Someone who owns energy and has a sacred space, anybody who walks into that space is going to have their spirit is going to get a continuum or a boost of energy within that space. So because the universe is mind, and you affect the mind of a particular space, like in a temple, anyone who goes in that temple is going to become quiet, they're going to feel reverence, they're going to have these spiritual experiences while they're in the temple. That means the temple owns their energy and transforms and releases it, brings it into stillness, and a part of them reaches a new high, a new level, and a higher state of equanimity. So when we're working with energy, we're working with energy so that we can release it. And you always have to remember that ownership is release. When a person says, "I'll just drop it, just let it go," you can only let it go on a superficial conscious level, not an unconscious level, if you don't own it. So this ownership allows you to unconsciously release. So this is one aspect of working with energy in the mental, astral, physical alignment that is essential. At the end of the day, releasing time, releasing space, recognizing all these things as empty by going to the infinity underneath form, going to the formless of the form, allows you ownership to release, crown chakra to open, for you to connect to light, interact with deities, and so forth. This process is fundamentally built around simply that: releasing time, space, interacting with Akasha, and how you can connect through Akasha to universal mind. And what you're going to find as you go through this process is that as you practice controlling energy, you get an instinct to release that energy that you're controlling. What's the basic rule of Qigong? Never store energy in your body. You build energy and you release it. Every time you build energy and release it, your releasing capacity has just gotten stronger. Your mental strength has just generated stronger immunity. Your body's getting stronger. Everything is moving up to the next level. So you'll find that as you play with energy, the playfulness is generating the foundation for release, it's generating the foundation for ascension, and everything that you're going to work with in the future will be easy because of your ability to control and work with energy. All right, so I'll leave this one here. I hope this answers Tim's question about the labeling of the bodies and so forth, and give some insight into working with the three bodies. If you have any questions about this, just drop me an email. I've got some time for the next couple of weeks to do a few more of these videos before I go back into teaching. And so just drop us an email if there's any questions. Thanks for your time. See you on the next video.